Good morning, friends. Welcome back.
Good morning.
How are you this week? What's new?
How are you this week?
I'm good. It's been a long week.
Yeah, you've been busy.
Yes, it's been a long week. It was one of those I went to do. We noticed a little bit of water damage in our bathroom around the sink, and I pulled up the sink, and there was a lot more water damage. So we ended up all the way down to studs and floor joists. So long week, a lot more involved than I thought, but by the end of the week, hopefully, here we're to the point of drywall and flooring. So it'll be nice when it's
Well,
all done.
if you were to say, like, this is your project, this
Mm-hmm.
would not be a me project. You've, like, dove right in. You've
Mm-hmm.
done, like, aside from needing help with the heavy lifting, you've done every level of this yourself, learning lots of new skills. And
Yep.
so it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. It's been a long week, but it'll be nice when it's all done. Because it's definitely been kind of the eyesore of the house. So yeah, long week, but a good week. How was your week?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Uneventful.
Well, I took all of the eventfulness.
You did.
You didn't need any. Well, last week we talked about bringing antiques into your home, and incorporating them into your design and some of the design rules we follow. So, if you missed last week, I encourage you to go back and check it out. Um, and this week we're going to be talking about friend hurt. So we're going to dive into that. But if you don't know who we are the Rustic Girls. I am Katie. I am the daughter of the mother-daughter duo.
And I am Patty. I am the mother of the mother daughter duo.
And we've been doing home decor, home design, and we've owned a home design business for many, many years. So we're here to talk about living intentional lives, pursuing your creative dreams, and creating beautiful homes. So if you like that kind of stuff, then stick around, chat with us, and hit like and subscribe. As soon as we hit the right subscribers, we'll be able to go live, and that will be amazing. We can just chat with you guys every Saturday at 9. So yeah,
Way more fun.
way more fun. But until then, here we are. So yeah, so talking about friend hurt, I think we've all experienced it in some capacity, and there's something very um, painful. I mean, I think about, they're all, I mean, you have church hurt, you have spouse hurt, parent hurt, like all those hurts are,
They hurt.
they hurt and they change us and they shape us. And um, so for me, I think I learned some really good lessons going through that, which should hopefully be the goal. If we're going to have to go through something, is that we learn a lesson, right? And that it makes us stronger, it makes us wiser, it makes us kinder. Yeah, I'm using a lot of ums this
Well, and I think too that, you know, don't let it, on that same thought, don't let it be wasted. Um, you know, I think sometimes the things that happen to us that either for hurt or for good or for bad, right?
morning.
Um, recognizing how that made us feel and help shape what kind of friend we want to be. You know, I mean,
Yes.
our intentionality
Right.
in, what we definitely
But
want to
we
be
don't.
very aware.
Right.
Don't want to do this. So
Yeah. So I've had a few different pretty significant friend hurts. And we're not here to air dirty laundry, so I won't go into details. But one involved a season where I was going through a lot of pain and depression. I was grieving some big life changes. I was a new mom, and I reached out for support and did not receive it. And in that situation, I definitely reacted poorly and said and did things I regret. And after a couple years of maturing and growing and getting through things, I was able to look back and recognize, although there was things that that friend did wrong, there are things that that friend did that was not supportive, was not very friendly. there was things I did wrong too. And for me, that situation reminded me, one, when someone's in a season of hurt, to be very sensitive to that, to make time for them. Because what if you're their only lifeline? It's not our fault when people choose to unalive themselves. It's not our fault when people choose to engage in unhealthy behaviors. Uh, but if I could help somebody, maybe not. If I could help somebody maybe get through a really hard season, I would like to be that friend. So I think for me, that hurt just reminded me that the importance of making time for your friends and being sensitive to their needs. But on the flip side, for my behavior, what I learned was when you're hurting is not the time to confront. Mm-hmm. So when you're feeling very emotional, it's much better to just
breathe. Put it in the hurt stack for later.
Mm-hmm. Address the behavior later because it's not going to help you when you are hurting and you reach out to somebody in anger and frustration, and they react poorly, as often happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of a sudden it looked like we weren't actually recording, and I was like, oh my gosh, we've been talking about this whole time and like not recording. But then I saw the little timer. We're good. So learning from both sides of it, I learned to be wise in my words and to let people go. So the other friend, that big friend hurt I had, was a friend who, because I no longer was on the same path as her in some areas of life, just walked away from our friendship. And that was a long friendship. I mean, we were like a decade in. And very similar to the pain, it was, around the same season. So it's very similar to the pain I was feeling with this other friend who was newer, but I had, kind of quickly bonded with. And I tried so hard to hold on to those friendships and not lose them. And like, tighter I held, the worse it got. And the tighter I held, the more I made choices that I regret now. The more I made choices and did things that I'm not proud of. And so the other thing I really learned is that there are seasons to friendships. Mm-hmm. And that just because the season ends with a friendship doesn't mean it won't come back.
Right.
So, learning to just be more relaxed, it's like, but having personal boundaries. For me, it became kind of a guideline is 3, the rule of 3. And I made this up myself. So there you go. But I reach out 3 times. I reach out to either set up and plan the activity or the date. I reach out to connect with them. If they don't respond at all, that I know, just let them go. Let them do their thing for a while, and we'll see what happens. If they do respond, we spend time together. It still stays around 3. Sometimes I'll give it a little bit more. But it's like, they need to also reach back. Because, I've been in friendships where it's very lopsided. I was the one pouring in and the other one was just receiving. And so for me, it kind of became a rule is if they're not reaching back, I just let them go. If I'm the one always making, then that's another kind of unhealthy balance. And I'll step back and I'll just wait. And either they'll notice and they'll reach out to me or they won't. And it's okay.
Well, and that said, too, I think with that, being mindful that there are seasons that there may be some flex in that, right? There are seasons when, just like in marriage, where one partner is
giving more than the other.
I think there are seasons of that in friendship when, for example, someone's going through a hard season where they just don't have anything to give.
Oh my word. Stop texting me. It's so loud. So sorry, guys.
But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about just in general.
Yeah,
I just wanted to cover that so in case someone.
And that's why I say it's a guideline. This is not a hard and fast rule at all.
And you have to kind of, you really need to set up those guidelines for yourself, those safety rails for you.
Yeah. I think I read a really good book called Boundaries by Dr. Townsend and Cloud.
Yeah.
Love that book. I actually read Boundaries with kids first, and I love that so much. I read the original, and honestly, it's kind of like there's that era like the Power of a Praying Wife,
Mm-hmm.
and there was the Power of Praying Everything.
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of that
Same
era
book,
that
just a little more tailored.
it's tailored
Just
to a
sell more
situation.
books.
There's still, yeah, just sell more books. There's still some good stuff like in either one, but if you read one or read the other, you kind of got the same principles you can apply. But they talked about establishing boundaries in your relationships and how it helps you be the kind of person you want to be. Like I said, I'm not so overly invested that I can't just let go if it's not healthy, if it's not, like they're not reciprocating. I can just be like, okay, that season's done with that friendship, and it allows me to appreciate the memories we had too. They're not tainted. Those friendships I referenced before, I mean, it was probably like 6, 7 years before I could even have any positive associations with memories of them, because it was so tarnished. And there are other friends more recently that since I've had that boundary, don't overly invest. I don't try desperately to hold on to it. That they come and go. I have one friend that I see like once a year, except if we run into him somewhere. Um, Love her to death, love her to pieces, but she's busy, and I could fight to spend more time with her, but I just recognize, you know what? She's one of those people I can appreciate. Every time I see her, I love seeing her. We have good talks. We enjoy each other's company a lot. We care about each other, but you can't be super close with everybody, right? So for her, I'm not one of her close people, and that's okay, because for me, she's not either. Like, we kind of have these separate lives we're leading, and so I think it creates really healthy boundaries that help you to maintain better friendships through the years. You can have acquaintances instead of either friends or enemies, which I think is so more valuable. But I think whenever we're talking about friend health, like hurt, and we're talking about boundaries and letting people go because they're not respecting those boundaries or because they have crossed that line. Like I said, I have that kind of threshold, and there is this huge push in our society to cut people out because we need to protect our peace. They're toxic, and there are. But I think that if we were really honest with ourselves, it is far rarer than how many times people are claiming. Yeah. So, just like you said in marriage, with all relationships, find your boundaries, but know that there's grace within that. Recognize patterns of behavior. So, like I said, the rule of three, the guideline of three. And sometimes I reach out a little bit more. If I know they're going through stuff, if I know they're just in a season of busy, or they just had a kid or something like that, and maybe I'll break that boundary a little bit, but I am aware of it. I'm aware that I'm stretching that boundary. And if they continue to, that's a me stretching. If they continue to cross boundaries on my side, whatever those healthy boundaries are that you establish, then I might pull back a little bit, because you have to be careful about getting hurt, but I don't cut them off because there's grace, right? There's grace in seasons. And I think it's really important to whatever relationship we're dealing with that you give them grace and you talk to them. Don't just cut them out, but talk to them and say, hey, this is a boundary I have. This is what you're doing that's hurting me. It's and do it face to face. Don't do it over the phone. Don't do it over text unless you absolutely have to do it over the phone. But don't ever do it over text. Which says a lot because I hate phone calls. But yeah, I just think you need to communicate and give them a chance. Give them a chance to grow and change, because otherwise you leave them stunted. And I think you leave yourself, you cut yourself short. You could have all these beautiful relationships, some that are really close and intimate and some that are really distant. But when you just cut people out, there's just nothing.
Well, and I think even when you close those doors, I think a good way to say this, I absolutely think boundaries are appropriate, when they're appropriate, and saying, I can't have this in my life anymore. But I think, as Christians, we do have to be careful as well of not like slamming that door shut, sealing it up, deadbolting it, putting a cement wall up, because
no room for grace.
There's no room for grace. There's no room for forgiveness. Because sometimes it takes time, for people to, maybe they have to walk through 3 more friendships where they're the same thing before they go, wow, maybe there is something to what they're saying to me. So just being mindful of that. And absolutely, I mean, if it's a straight up, abusive, awful situation, you absolutely have to. But just being mindful and prayerful that, guarding that door, but being willing to at least,
Right. Discomfort leads to growth for everyone involved. So discomfort is not bad. I was talking to a friend recently, and this was on marriage, but I think it applies to friendship too. If there's never conflict, if there's never disagreement, then there's a certain amount of shallowness to it. So when someone says, we're married, we never fight. Well, maybe you don't ever, I mean, my husband and I've said that about myself, so it feels hypocritical because we don't normally fight.
I was smiling because I was thinking your dad always said that.
Yeah, he did.
We never fight. We never.
But you had conflict. You have things you disagree on. We're 2 sinners rubbing up against each other. Yeah. Whether it's your husband or it's a friend, you bump into each other, you bounce off each other, and you hurt each other. And so it's not that you never do anything wrong or that you never disagree. Conflict is good. Conflict is healthy. If you're willing to work through it, and you're willing to have those conversations of, hey, it actually makes me really uncomfortable when you do that, or when you say that, or, when you said this thing the other day when I was hurting, it really hurt my feelings. I'm being willing to give each other grace to grow is where some of the best, most beautiful friendships come from, when you can grow with them. And like I said, there are exceptions when it's extreme abuse, both physically, verbally, emotionally. But think hard before you cut people out, because I think you miss out a lot. And you cheat the world out of a lot of goodness. Even manipulation. We're all manipulative. I'm not a manipulative person. I don't have a disorder kind of thing where I'm doing it all the time, but there are moments when you word things a certain way or play the cards a certain way because to achieve, I think it's just human nature. So even if it's a constant pattern of manipulation, that's, maybe a boundary that needs to be drawn. But if it's, every once in a while your friend, I have my sister-in-law the other day was we're working on this project and she's my big muscle. She's I call her She-Hulk. She's so strong. And so she's always coming in and helping me because my husband's at work. How rude. And she had hauled this sheet of plywood in and out of the house 3 times now as I'm cutting all these precise cuts. And we have this one part, we just need to do this a little bit more. And she goes, do you want to just go ahead and cut it in here with the Sawzall, or do you want to carry it all the way out there and do it? And I was like, we can probably do it with the Sawzall in here. And she laughed because she was like how I manipulated that, worded it. So you do that. And it's not the end of the world. I think it's human nature, and again, having grace for each other. But there are times, and I don't ever want anyone to walk away from our conversations thinking that we advocate you staying in an abusive situation, whether it be a marriage or a friendship or whatever, a parent that's abusing you. We're never advocating that. But healthy relationships, healthy challenges, healthy conflict. Don't run away from it. Because I think it's really good, and it grows you, and it makes you a better person and a better friend. I think about the friendships I was hurt by, and the friendships I hurt, and it's made me a better friend now. And if I hadn't walked through that with them, if I had to just run away completely. Yeah, I made mistakes and I did wrong things, but I learned, and that's made me a better friend now. And you grow so much, and it adds value to who you are. It's character.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you touched on you know, different seasons of, sometimes friendships are for a season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether they be through, your
Work or your
work or your
church or
church or
your
your
social circle,
child
kids.
rearing years.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you stop having kids and your kids grow on and another family is still, just different things, that life changes. But then there's the friendships, I've had friendships that kind of had a big pause button in them.
Mm-hmm.
That season ended, um, and but then years later, uh, they pop back up.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing about that, when you already have history with someone, is you both have grown immensely in that time, that big pause button, for whatever reason. The pause, it could be, you just disconnected, maybe
Mm-hmm.
there was a big hurt, maybe, for whatever reason there was
Something
the
that caused
friendship
it
kind of,
to drift
yeah,
apart.
and maybe even it was a big blow up.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe when your paths cross again, when they intersect again, it's definitely worth considering, because it can be a um, really special bond that you
Mm-hmm.
connection that you have.
Mm-hmm. Because there's the roots. When you're constantly cutting people out, you get no roots, and there's comfort.
There is, for sure.
And those friendships have lasted.
And I think there's the older. I think I've been an old soul since I was a kid. I've never been the, friends with everyone kind of, friends everywhere you go. It's like I've had close friendships, and they've evolved and changed over the years. But I do think that as you get older, you do tend um, to be more selective. You might still have those. I've always called them
Friend
surface
circles.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that they're a little bit more than acquaintances. There's
Right.
there's a little bit of a basis there, but you're not. They're not your people. They're not the ones that you lean on each other when things go south. But I think as you get older, there's a natural tendency, and maybe not for everybody. Maybe the social butterfly people stay social butterflies,
mm-hmm.
and I don't mean that in a negative way. But
you do you, man.
But
I can't keep up, but there are people who can, and they thoroughly enjoy it. And my husband's one of those. He's not like, what's it called when you're like a good public speaker? What's that skill?
Oration?
A great orator? I don't know. Like, he's not like, no, when you have a really good personality.
Outgoing?
Yeah, he's like outgoing, popular, like the I don't know, it's too cool for me, so I don't know it. But he's like
they make friends
quiet, but yeah, but he's like this quiet, straightforward, like just simple dude. But he is one of those people who's friendly with everybody, and like he will talk to random people. And back when we lived in Washington, he would like run into people all the time. There was like, oh, this was my parents' friend, or this was from this church, or this was somebody I worked with, and he would chat him up. And so I used to joke that like he remembered everybody, and so I joke he like remembered kids from his preschool and their like social security numbers. Because he's just like he's one of those people. And so though he's not super bubbly and this like big popular person, he doesn't necessarily stand out in a group, but he is genuine, and he will message like old coworkers from like 15 plus years ago and be like, hey man, how's it going? What's life? I'm like, it's lots of social anxiety and a massive introvert. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like he wanted to just like show up at somebody's house to talk to him. Like it was a family friend of theirs growing up. And he's like, oh, I just want to see how they're doing and visit. I'm like, That's super weird. I would absolutely hate it if someone just showed up at my door and the person was there. And of course, he's just talking to Justin. It was no big deal. But um, there, I forgot where I was going with all of this. There are people who enjoy having a lot of connection. And I think that's great. And if that's who you are, that's who God made you to be. Like, that's not.
Yeah, for sure.
But if God made you quieter, God made you, some are designed meant for just really close circles. I would be one of those people. I have, maybe 2 friends that are like deeply entrenched with my life. And then like an outer circle that's like a little bit less, but they're still friends, and then acquaintances. So it's okay either way.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you have any other thoughts before we wrap? It's a lovely chat.
Yeah.
I cannot wait until we get to chat with you guys.
I know.
It's so much more fun. We used to do it all the time, and I just love being able to engage with you guys. So, looking forward to that day. Until then, we will continue to be faithful. We hope you guys have a beautiful week. We'll see you next week. What did we say we're talking about? Do you remember? I am blanking. So, join us next week for whatever we end up talking about, because it's going to be a surprise. That's right. It's a surprise. It's not that we forgot. Bye, friends.
Bye.